Mauriano, thank you for being here at the Life Science Success Podcast. And, why don't we just start with kind of, talking a little bit about bio. We're at bio right now. And what do you think of the conference?
Well, hello, and thanks a lot. Um, it's a very nice conference. It's a very nice event. It's really large, plenty of things to show, and many a large bunch of possibilities of do networking properly. Plenty of very interesting things, and you feel that these kind of things are very advanced. It
Right.
is like, and well, finally advances in pharmaceutical products are advances on healthcare.
Right.
So finally, it is like we've been talking yesterday with one of my colleagues, and we said we were in one of the talks, and the talk was amazing. A pharmaceutical company CEO explaining a new drug, and it looks like, oh, I would like to have a glioblastoma just to test this
Oh,
drug
no.
because it is so cool.
Okay.
No. Then you said,
Right.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
Right.
better no. But I
Yeah.
mean, it is kind of this sensation,
Yeah.
the sensation that really what you're seeing is kind of avant-garde things and
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about bio is I feel like you get a mix of large pharmaceutical companies and very small companies
Yes,
both.
yes,
And then also you get investors kind of mixed in that
yes,
as
yes,
well. So yeah, it's a
yes.
good
It
combination.
I liked my favorite sessions are the company presentations,
Mm.
because as you said, you can be in Novo Nordisk presentation, so it is this the VP for digital whatever,
Right.
or business promotion or whatever.
Mm.
And then next to that, so it is kind of a very wide vision of a extremely large company, and next to that you have a presentation of a startup which are developing a drug, and now it is in phase 2, and they are planning to go to market.
Right.
And I imagine that it could be very good for them also, because the guy from Novo Nordisk perhaps is in the audience too,
Right.
so they can interact with them. No, I think it's really, it's my first bio conference, and I think we will repeat. It's a
Yeah.
very nice
Very good.
conference. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mariano, would you just take a minute and just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself? Kind of what was your background, and then what led you to want to do something in life science?
Well, I'm from Argentina, but I was traveling a lot, and in different places. So I did my PhD in Barcelona, in a different institutes. In one institute at the university, so I did my PhD in aeronautic stuff, in computational mechanics for aeronautic stuff. And I'm physicist by training. And what we do is you try to describe nature in mathematical terms, and then write a simulation code in order to try to predict how nature works. When I say nature in a in a very wide sense. So, the equations that govern the air that we are breathing now are the same equations that govern water in a swimming pool, or an aircraft flying.
Sure.
And this gives us kind of a sort of an abstraction of the problem itself. Then the problem can motivate you, that's fine, but it can give you this kind of perspective. Since 2005, I was kind of uh, I had this call from biomedical things.
Right.
I had not at all a background in medicine or anything related to that. I started to read at the same time that I developed code and methods for biomedical. Those in those years was cardiac electrophysiology.
Hmm.
So I started with that, and really, it really appealed to me a lot. So it just grabbed my attention and
Yeah.
never released it. And since then, it's really it's very nice, because it is very challenging,
Hmm.
very difficult. There are plenty of things to do and to improve, and it has a very strong social impact.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And could be very rewarding to know that you touched the life of somebody for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for us, sometimes we are by training, we are more on the safe side, let's say, or clean side, let's say,
Right.
without talking with patients, in the sense that you don't talk with for the aircraft. If you do things for the aircraft, you don't see any aircraft, never. I mean,
Right.
they are just equations. Um, but when you do these things, it is very motivating and very rewarding to talk with the patients.
Yeah.
You discover that what you are doing has really an impact on them with the name, and we have some, for instance, some of the investors in the company just came to us because of his son, because his son has a pacemaker. And the son said to the father talked to the son and said, look, I'm planning to invest in this company. And the son said, yes, dad, do it. It will be very nice, do it. And so this is very touchy, and it is very nice that you can think that with your effort you can make the life of all of us, because we are patients too,
Right.
the life of all of us better.
Yeah, so I mean, just to touch on it a little bit, right? So I interviewed Christopher Morton, also from Elem, and we had a great conversation about all the different things that kind of helped the company grow. I'm very interested in hearing maybe first, where are technologies like this used outside of life sciences? Maybe to just talk about that. I heard you mention aircraft just a second ago, and
Yes.
I would imagine models like this are probably very frequently
Yes,
used.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. I can tell, it's just to give you the example, I can tell our story. So, in 2005, I was hired by this Barcelona Supercomputing Center. It was myself and a friend of mine. We did the PhD with the same supervisor. So we have more or less the same ideas, the same tastes, and we started to work at this center. And we proposed to our boss to, we have already started, but we proposed to keep on working on a simulation code. So this code is for simulate nature. Again, as I said before, right? Kind of abstracting of the problem itself. But we plan to do it in a way that it can be applied to many problems. Instead of instead of focusing in one problem, try to focus in the methods themselves and then look for problems to apply it.
Right.
Um, so today, after that, we started being two. Now, in 2005, now the whole team, if you think about the technical team in Elem Biotech and the part of the technical team in Barcelona Supercomputing Center, we are kind of 80. So the team grew a lot, and we are all developing in this code. This code is used, we started with different areas, but now we have very well-defined verticals. It is applied in fusion, in plasma physics for fusion, nuclear fusion. It is applied in aeronautics, in windmills and wind energy, biomedical, environmental flows. So it's very nice because the in all of these problems they have their own, in all of these verticals they have their own their own particularities. But we have discovered, well, we have seen that there is this common substrate, and you can use this code for solving different problems. And it is very interesting that the same modules that we use for instance, fluid mechanics, is applied in all of these fields.
Right.
So it is the same codes, but moreover, is the same module of the code that is applied in all of this. What is it is really very interesting is that we the those that those that apply the code to the field.
Right.
If I tell them we work in cardiac mechanics, so if I talk about the cardiac mechanics to the fusion guy, we are kind of far away, absolutely far away. But then when you go down to the application, it's the same code and it's the same module. It is very interesting because we learn a lot from each other.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be interesting as well, just mathematically, to know that it has that sort of close match, right? Because it just sort of indicates again, how far away many things are, or how close many things are to one another, right? That,
See,
yeah,
yes, absolutely. And this is that's why I like a lot what I did and what I doing. Okay, the motivation to solve the life of the patients is fine, but and this is the motivation.
yeah,
And the problems are very difficult and are very nice. I like them a lot. I learn a lot and I like a lot. But what I like most, I have to confess, is to program.
sure,
So I like to be just programming and developing the method, and then when you program and you see that it is working, you're very happy. So it's kind of a nice combination of mathematics, physics, and computer science, and I like it a
yeah,
lot. Yeah.
very good. Tell me a little bit about the evolution of the computing capabilities throughout time. You have to have seen, just some great things happen, and also, what do you sort of envision maybe as the future of where this might go?
Hmm. Yes, we have this very strong evolution in the methods themselves. So this is kind of technical and scientific on this side. In the validation of the methods, because in order to validate, if you work on plasma physics, you need to have some experimental things that can measure plasma in order to validate what you're doing.
Right.
And not to mention biomedical sciences. If I need to measure the pressure in an aircraft, I just create around the wing of an aircraft. I can create a model, put it in a wind tunnel, put some probes there and measure it. But I cannot do the same with your heart.
Right.
So there are plenty of, especially medical imaging techniques that help us to validate the code. Then at the same time is the evolution of the hardware and programming models. So both
Right.
of them, hardware and programming models. Hardware is really advancing very fast. When we started in Barcelona Supercomputing Center in 2005, the supercomputer that I'm sure that Chris told you, it is in a chapel. So a chapel is large. So
Right.
the computer was inside the chapel. Now the same today, 20 years after that, you can have the same power of that full supercomputer in a chapel in a workstation, large one, but in a workstation.
Right.
So this represents a very large advance. In order to also, there were some programming models that help us a lot to improve the to advance. And then there are some disruptive technologies that help us a lot to do things. Let's say, like for instance, AI.
Right.
We use our thing is mechanistic based. It's not AI, but we use AI a lot for things that are around the solution, for
Sure.
creating the populations, for analyzing the data. And so AI is really representing a revolution, and we in our field we are using a lot to improve things. And considering the future, AI will going to keep on. All the other things are going to keep on being developed, and you have this new thing called quantum computer.
Sure.
So a quantum computer in the future, a quantum computer will not be a standalone thing. It will be an accelerator like a GPU. So in the future, like you have in your computer in the phone. So in the future, you are going to have the CPU, the GPU, and the quantum computer module, let's say. And and programmers will write their codes in order to at some point when the code is running, at some point the code is going to offload some computations to GPU or to the quantum computer.
Right.
And this will on one hand accelerate a lot of things, but on the other hand make things more difficult for the programmers and more fun.
Yeah.
Bringing more fun to the programmers
Right.
is really a challenge, but well, this is where we're going, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, the other question that comes to my mind, right, is do you ever see a point in time where either augmented reality or virtual reality could be, something that would be helpful for viewing these models as well?
Yes, absolutely. We did every now and then. We discussed with some virtual reality experts. Uh, we never we never materialized these discussions,
Right.
but it is always that again come periodically because the kind of problems that you solve, to visualize them, to see the results, and to understand how the heart beats and why is is difficult,
Sure.
and it's getting more difficult because
Right.
we are doing more complex things. So at a certain point, it will kind of break the egg and say, look, we need to do this because we are achieving a point in which if we don't do something like that, we will not understand what's happening,
Right.
and we will not, because I think that virtual reality is basically to help you understand. So, and you can imagine things and try to understand what the visualization that you have at certain point,
Right.
but it has a limit.
Right.
So I think that in the I would say relatively near future, we should need start to use these tools. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I just envision because Christopher mentioned the different types of say pacemakers that somebody could have and the placement of the probes and things like that. Um, just being able to even from the outside visualize what the impact could actually be on the individual that you're looking at. Would be an interesting use eventually, but I understand there's a technological gap there as well, right? I mean, we're not talking about something that's simply run from a PC and then could be projected on VR
Yes,
either. So yeah, big
yes,
challenge.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And especially if you think about the personalization of these sort of tools. If you have to, if the doctor has you are a patient, so you come to the doctor prescribe you some medical images. These medical images, the results of this, from the results of these medical images, they come to us. We generate your virtual patient. We generate different scenarios for the therapy that you require, and then we give this to the doctor. So the doctor is receiving all this information. He or she has to analyze this information.
Right.
So I think that combining what's coming from the images with this new stuff that it is coming for the virtual you.
Right.
So the combination of these two things, in order for him to really take profit, would be not just a few tables,
Right.
but some way of going into your heart and
Mm.
trying to understand what's happening to you and what would be the most optimized
Yeah.
therapy.
Seems so futuristic as well.
Yes, but what is interesting is that's true, but we have to struggle always to show that what we are doing, although futuristic, is real now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like it could everything that seemed like it's so far away. A few years down the line, all of a sudden it's today.
It's today, it's
Yeah,
today. Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
Yeah, which means that somebody was working on it when it was still a dream, maybe of
Yes.
mine or somebody
The
else.
what I usually say is that is we are in our particular thing about the cardiovascular, the
Sure.
cardiac virtual heart,
Hmm.
the virtual heart of a person. We are couple of months of making massively used by doctors. The only thing that we need to achieve to these couple of months are resources. If you really have the resources to accelerate,
Right.
resources mean more people to work on that, more computing power, data from patients. But we are months, 6 months from
Right.
that. And if we keep on having the same resources that we have, well, it's going to take 1 year.
Yeah.
But there are ways of accelerating it. But it is so. If you talk about 1 year, six
Mhm.
months, this is today.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Hmm.
Well, Mauriano, thank you so much for being on the Life Science Success
Thanks a
podcast. I
lot.
really appreciated our conversation. I
Thanks a
really
lot.
hope that you get a lot out of being here and make some good contacts. And but at the same time, it's great to hear about your technology and to know that it is making the future today.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. It's the future now.
right. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your interest.